What's up, my friends, and welcome back to another edition of the MLB The Show franchise here as we try our best to get a little bit closer to the postseason. Last week was honestly kind of devastating. It was really disappointing in a way that I have not felt since we started this franchise. The move from just 42 to 48 wins was really kind of stagnant for our team, and it really made me a little bit frustrated for the first time that we made some strides and really didn't get a whole lot done. But I will say this, after making our roster moves to get our team down to the 26-man roster, we finally have a ranking in these that box of rankings up there that's not last other than speed. Pitching is now the 29th best pitching staff in baseball, which means there is a team that is worse than us across Major League Baseball. We advance through spring training, and now we're 30th again. We were 29th. So I guess players must have gotten released, and we're 30th again. So we are back to the 30th worst pitching staff, which I guess I kind of expected after people made their roster moves, and we still have a 50 in our pitching staff, but we can make one signing here. Now remember, we are not able to sign a player on waivers in the same position for the second year in a row. So 2 years ago, we got Emmett Sheehan, a starter, so we weren't able to use a starting pitcher. Last year, we had a reliever that we signed, so we're not able to do a reliever this year. So we could go back to the starting pitching mix, but I actually think we're in an okay spot there to go not sign a starter because I think our five are actually pretty good. I think I'm going to go and try to get a position player for really the first time ever, Jarred Triolo, who is also a middle utility infielder who's a better defender. He's making 3.7 each of the next 2 years. That's actually not a bad contract. We have $1 billion to spend, basically. Why don't we go try to go get Jarred Triolo? We're going to put a claim in for Triolo and see how that works out for us. Because if we do, we have a legitimate utility guy who could play all over the place. We did, in fact, get Triolo on the roster, which means we need to make a corresponding move. But honestly, we may plug and play Triolo at short. I'm kind of tired of waiting around for Steven Mason, and we will allow him to play every day at the AAA level, which I think is probably a good thing for him. Because I think at this point, he really needs to get all of those reps that he possibly can. So we'll send Mason down to AAA, which is not something I expected to do. And then we will counter by sending Steven Ramos, who's 31 years old and doesn't really do a whole lot for our team, send him down to single A to get our team where we need to be. So now Triolo's in the lineup. He is going to play every day at short. I'm going to have him bat ninth, I think, because I'd like to keep some of the other guys up towards the top of the lineup, splits the lefties and the righties a little bit. I'm going to have him hit ninth. But I am kind of excited to have him in the fold now. So again, as we always do, I'm going to ask you to drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Last year, we did not get to the 50-win plateau. I think we do get there this year. I am going to say 57 wins is what we get to this year. And my bold take for this year, because we were so darn close to our bold take last year, which was we don't finish in last. My bold take this year is that we end up having multiple All-Stars, which is going to be really hard to do, but I think maybe we have it happen. So let's get through the early portions of the season. The early 3 games in March, we're going to start on the road against the LA Angels. We win the first 2, and we are 2-1 after the first series, which is something that we did last year. We were 2-1 last year, and it didn't really do a whole lot for us. But I think this year we are going to get into that 50-win plateau. I think we're going to break it pretty significantly. We are losing quite a few games here in April, like way too many games here in April. We win a series against the Nationals. We take 1 against Baltimore. We win a series against the White Sox, 1 against Chicago, and we are 10-19 through the first month of April, which brings us to the month of May. And I think May is going to be a make or break month for us. I think if we can hover around 500 in the month of May, we're going to be well on our way to that 50-plus win mark. A good start. The Rays are interested in offering us a deal. They want Steven Mason, who hasn't played for us this year. In exchange, they want to give us Andrew Wantz, who is, where is he? He's a reliever. Oh, there he is. He's a 70. Yeah, that's a big no. Thanks for the offer. Just because Steven Mason isn't playing doesn't mean I don't want him on my organization. Gets swept out by Cincinnati. bunch of 2 out of 3 losses. We take the series against San Diego. We are now 19-37. We won just 9 games in the month of May. We took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. We just won 4 in a row and 5 out of 6. Is that a 6-win week? 7 out of 8 and a 6-win week gets us to 34-50 through the first 84 games of the season. And this is probably the best month we've had. What do we win, 15 games this month? And I think that might be the most wins we had in a calendar month. Let's try to wrap up this series against the St. Louis Cardinals. We do it with a win. We are now 35-50 through the first 85 games. Now, we have, 7, 8, 13 games left to play before the All-Star break. If we can win like 6 of those, we will break the 40-win plateau. Well, if we win 5 of those, we will break the 40-win plateau before the All-Star break, something that we had never accomplished to this point. We lose 2 out of 3 against a couple of different teams. We win a series against Boston, and we are well on our way to that 40-win mark. It is officially time for the 2029 MLB draft. And in this draft, as we know, we are picking with...
Well, we're waiting.
I was trying to do a dramatic reveal, but apparently not. We're picking with the number 1 overall pick because we won the draft lottery in last year's winter meetings. So we have the number 1 overall pick, and it is time to make our team even better. I think we would be absolutely foolish to not just go and draft Charlie Salazar. This guy looks like he might be a generational pitcher. We thought Karlik was going to be generational. This guy might legitimately be a generational pitcher. All right, so we're back on the clock with the 40th overall pick here. A lot of good players have gone off the board, mostly starters for the most part. This is a pretty starter-heavy draft class. Pedro Figueroa immediately jumped out to me. Potential could be a little bit low, but a high overall to start. That's kind of a plug-and-play type of guy, the 41st best player on the draft boards. I think just he could be an immediate plug-and-play outfielder as well. I think he's better than Harder right away. So we are going to draft with the 40th overall pick, Pedro Figueroa. Now we have the 82nd pick. This is where the draft really starts to happen quickly. This is the guy that could help us in the back end of our bullpen. We need closers all the time, and we have no ability to sign any of them. So I think getting one in the draft is a really good play for us. Jack Earnhardt is our 3rd round pick in this year's draft. And I think maybe we could go and get another shortstop, but our shortstops they're the 30th ranked group. Our shortstop group is terrible across the board. So I think that's what we're going to do. We are going to go get Giancarlo De Los Santos as our 4th round pick. Could add another catcher. We need as many catchers as we possibly could get. I think probably that's what we'll do. We are going to go add Deacon Linder. Oh, no, I drafted the wrong guy. I thought that was the catcher. All right, well, we got Deacon Linder, the 3rd baseman. I thought we were drafting the catcher, but apparently we are not. But Ramon Garcia, although his overall is low, he's a 18-year-old high school player, has the potential. We may have salvaged this somehow. We're going to draft Ramon Garcia, the catcher, and hope that potential is closer to the 99 overall than it is the 65. But we are officially to the All-Star break. We win another series, this time against the Minnesota Twins. We have now won 4 of our last 6 series, and we are 41-56, which is not an incredible overall record by any means, but when you think about the fact that we went from 0 to 20, we're already well past 20. We're now at 42. We're on the doorstep of our 2027 goal, and we won just 48 games in 2028. We have the opportunity to potentially win 48 games by the trade deadline. And I'll be honest with you, the way that I was feeling at the trade deadline last year was kind of glum. The way that I'm feeling at the trade deadline this year is really good. I'm feeling really excited about the way that we have kind of gone about things in this 2029. We're going to make the closer the 2nd priority. We're going to make Pedro Figueroa the 3rd priority, and we are going to see if we can get Charlie Salazar to sign right away. He's asking for 8.6. Now, the slot evaluation is 10.5. So if we go to 9.5, which is well above slot allocation, I think he should probably accept it pretty easily, and he does. So the number 1 overall pick gives us no trouble this year. Pedro Figueroa, we're going to also try to sign. He's asking for $2 million. If we go a little bit over the asking price, I think we'll just try to do it slightly over. He accepts as well, and we're in a pretty good spot right now. Why are these guys asking for so little money? And I know he's a 3rd round pick, but that just seemed easy. Ramon Garcia, we are going to sign. He's only asking for $428, and I know it's above slot value, but he declined the $428, so we would have to go a little bit more to try to sign him. Giancarlo De Los Santos is asking for $560. We're going to go above asking price at $770. So Garcia at $428 was not enough. Let's go up to $620. I think that was a pretty easy decision for him. And we are officially at the trade deadline. They're looking to take Blaze Jordan. The answer to that is almost definitively no. Blaze Jordan is in our lineup every single day. So we're going to take a look at some trades, and I'll let you know if we manifest anything. We'll see in just a little bit here in year 5. All right, it looks like we do have a trade in place. We are going to move on from one of our former draft picks, Ruben Harder, who I think is probably just about tapped out. We're going to move Christian Pregent, who is now no longer with the Major League team. I don't necessarily love moving catchers, but I think we have the ability here to make a trade. We're going to go get Zach Veen, and now I think really the question is, do we put him in the starting lineup, which I think obviously we are. He's going to be the DH against righties, and I'm wondering if maybe he even plays. I think we'll probably hold off on him playing against lefties, but he's going to play against righties right away. And I think that's a really solid move for us. We are officially in the month of August. We're 20 games under 500 at 44-64. We are just 4 wins away from matching our season total from last year at just the 108-game plateau. So we're going to simulate through the month of August to see how we fare. If we could be up into the low 50s by the time this month is over, I think that would be a huge, huge win for us. We've won 3 games and then a huge losing streak. Not a bad way to wrap up the month. A couple of wins against Washington. You lose 2 out of 3 against the Mets, or the first 2 against the Mets, I should say, and we are 52-83. So the good news, we have officially broken the 50-win mark for the first time, which means free agents are now going to become available to us. Right this moment, it's just 52 overalls, but every win from here on out adds an overall that we could spend in free agency, which opens up starters and closers and some other bench pieces and things like that. We can continue to add to the depth of this team. The Iron Pigs finished 44-106. Not a good year for them. Fighting's 40-98. Obviously, we are very major league heavy in terms of what little talent that we have. We are going to wrap up this season, and we are 63-99. And while that seems pretty depressing, that is an absolute abject win for this organization. We went from having a season where we were on the doorstep of being utterly frustrated by winning just 6 additional games. We went from 42-48, and that was miserable. We now went from 48 all the way to 63. That was a 15-win improvement. We just won 63 games. It was the first season in which we lost less than 100 games total. We are definitively heading in the right direction. The Diamondbacks beat the Orioles in the World Series. We are heading in the right direction. We have to re-sign our manager. I got to be honest with you. I don't remember what our manager or hitting coach's name is, so I'm going to have to go back to an old video to try to remember it, because those 2 guys absolutely should be rehired for what they did this season. But we are going to hit the offseason now. I'm going to go try to find these coaches so I can remember who they are. But we do finally have an exclusive free agent negotiation period with Dylan Lee. So we'll try to do that. I'm going to try to remember who these coaches are, and we'll be back in just a moment. So it's Noah Ellis was our manager. Damian Beal was our hitting coach. So those 2 guys we're going to have to take a look at in just a moment. Dylan Lee is probably heading in the wrong direction, but he had a really good year. He appeared in 90 games? This dude's thrown 183 appearances in the last 2 years. That just deserves a contract extension, just because that's like dog mentality. I don't know if he's going to re-sign with us or not, but I'm going to send him an offer, because my goodness, Dylan Lee has not accepted his contract extension, so he is going to hit free agency, which really does kind of suck, because I would like to have him back. But now we have to head into free agency. Now, I will say this one rule is applicable here for really the first time. We can re-sign Dylan Lee even though he hit free agency. All the other free agents, quote unquote, we have to abide to the 60-win mark, but we can re-sign Dylan Lee because he was one of our players, and we have offered him a contract. So while that does kind of cheat a little bit, we can re-sign him because he was one of ours. I will never, ever, ever enjoy this portion of it, this contract renewable stuff where you just have to go through and get everybody a contract renewed. So we finally did it. We went down and figured out that these two guys are really the only question. Roger Sharp is not coming back. He's 27. He's going in the wrong direction. He hasn't pitched in the major leagues in 2 years, and when he did, he was terrible. Charis Kobayashi is a potential of return, but he's another guy who hasn't pitched in the majors in 2 years. He's just a 55 overall. And the only thing that's keeping me around is the fact that he was a former draft pick, but we'll wait on him for just a little bit. Salary arbitration has been offered for everybody. And other than that, I think the only thing that we have left to do is potentially go into the free agent pool and for the first time, like really have the opportunity to sign some players, because we can sign up to 63 overalls now, which is really good for our depth. So I think what I'm going to do is every year we need starting pitching, every single year. So I'm going to go and try to find some guys that are in the 60s, like Joaquin Ibanez, for example, and we're going to sign him to a 1-year deal. It doesn't mean a whole lot. I mean, a lot of these guys are still just going to be, bench depth type of guys. But for a team that constantly needs certain positions because our roster is thin at them, it is nice to get some players that are actually in the 60s as opposed to being just like, oh, well, you got to sign a 50. So we can sign up to a 63. I think we are going to sign Junior Santos to pitch as depth. And then the last position that I would like to look at is at the first base position, see if there's any depth there that we could sign. That's not, 31 years old. Like Anthony Silva here, even though I know he's a D potential. So we do have, again, the top chance of being the number 1 pick. I would imagine we probably will not this year. It's usually how that works. I don't think I've gotten consecutive years almost ever. Yeah, see, we slide down to 3. The Cubs move up 6 spots. The Rockies go up 2. We end up sliding down to 3. Still picking with the number 3 overall pick, which means it's not really a bad spot to be. But let's now simulate to the Rule 5 draft, because I am interested to see who we have that we could potentially take. Wow, are there no good players available? Look at all these, because they're A potentials. Look at all these Joe Randoms that are potentially signable. These guys have gotten signed. That's crazy to me. I don't think we're going to take a starter. We could go back to the well and take a reliever because we technically took a closer. Again, it feels like it's cheating the system a little bit. Can't take a catcher. I'm good with Blaze Jordan at first. I'm happy with Triolo at second. Chavis is locked down at third. I mean, we could certainly go get a bench piece, a utility guy, which would make us better. Shortstop position, probably the way to go. Could go get another outfielder. We're pretty solid at outfield with Figueroa and Favre. Cameron's still obviously here. Joendry Vargas can play short, second, and third. That's probably the guy that we take a look at. He's only 24. He made $76,000 last year. I think we're going to take Joendry Vargas with the first pick in the Rule 5 draft. Now, I will be interested to see if any of the good relievers are left, because I think the next play would be to go take a relief pitcher. I think I'm going to take Nick Sandlin and add to our bullpen. We're the only team left that wants to take a player. We are not going to, because we're only allowed to take 2, so we will skip our selection, and that will end the Rule 5 draft. But we got better. All right, so let's get to our arbitration hearings. This is one of those situations where I do kind of expect to lose all of these cases. It's not a bad thing. Yeah, Hunter Bishop won. He's getting 3.5. I think we offered him like $1 million. They sided with us for Sandlin, who I don't remember offering arbitration, but Sandlin's going to make 1.1. Jeez, Jason Little making 8 is just ridiculous. Veen at 2.2, I'm okay with that. Karlik. Now, that doesn't make any sense to me. Karlik got the $2 million, but Jason Little won his. They sided with us for Hernandez, $850. That's pretty big. Sided with us for Jimmy Castle, $960. Sided with us for Hunter Barco, $4.1. Sided with Daz Cameron. Man, he's getting $7 million. Emmett Sheehan getting $7. That's okay. Eugene Chavis, $1.1. Hernandez, $5. I think we can live with that. I offered him a 5-year deal anyway, so. Geez, the only one that really is like kind of surprising is Daz Cameron getting $7. So that pretty much is going to put a bow on the 2029, 2030 offseason. We don't have any roster spots available, so we will have to kind of figure things out from here. But a couple of things to make note. One, we have to take a look at our draft picks that we got. Because Charlie Salazar, who was the number 1 overall pick, is only a C potential. And while he's a 76, and while I think he could be a good pitcher, drafting him with the number 1 overall pick and only getting C potential out of him is pretty frustrating. However, Pedro Figueroa, who we took in the second round, is a 75 with a C potential, and I can live with that. Some of the other guys that we drafted are pretty far down. Jack Earnhardt is a C potential, 62. Turns out it wasn't a very productive draft for us, which is, unfortunate to say the least. The other guy that I wanted to take a look at was the catcher that we drafted. And, this was not a good draft for us. Really, just overall, pretty bad draft. So we are going to head into the 2030 season officially, and we are still the worst team in baseball. But we won 63 games last year, which put us in a good spot. Puts us in the right direction moving forward to sign free agents, to get back into the playoff conversation. And I think we are on the doorstep of potentially being a relevant team. 63 and 99, I think we're going to finally make our move in 2030 and 2031. Maybe we'll try to make a big splash trade with a whole bunch of these prospects that we've acquired. But that's going to do it for our episode here today. Thanks so much, as always, for hanging out with us. Let us know in the chat what you think we should do moving forward. Should we go after a big-time trade option and try to trade some of these draft picks that we've acquired over the years, these guys that we have selected in the last couple of drafts, or should we stay the course with the young guys and try to figure it out from here? Because I think we're officially at a crossroads. So big thanks to everybody hanging out with us in this episode today. We'll be back next week for the 2030 season as we try to push towards a playoff appearance for the first time. We'll be back next week on the PHOI Phillies podcast. See you then.